going on, good people? This is your boy Casey Fowler, one half of the Phalanx podcast, bringing you the Melanin Warriorz podcast. I hope everybody enjoyed episode 1, where I went over Yasuki, the first and only Melanin Samurai. Episode 2 is going to be a little different because, this is for the Melanin Queens out there, you know what I'm saying? Because not all Melanin Warriors were men, some were women as well. So let's go ahead and jump into this one. Queen Nzinga was born in 1583. She was the daughter of the Angola, which means king in their dialect, Kilimambo. She received her name because when she was born, she had her umbilical cord wrapped around her neck. Now, in their culture, if a child survives such a birth, they're said to be blessed with spiritual gifts and, destined for greatness. As a child, she received military and political training, you know what I mean? So basically, that's a big thing because a female in that time period that was able to receive that kind of training, was already ahead of the game. Soon after, her brother passed away from mysterious causes. Some say it was poison, some say it was natural, but she became the king. She became, the ruler of that land. And it was the Nadota and the Matamba, which is current day Angola. Her claims to the throne, however, were tested by the nobles, being that she was a woman, number one, and number two, that she was born of a slave wife. But she completely crushed this allegation because she was the only noble that was of royal blood. So, that quickly was just shut down altogether. They couldn't do nothing about it. They couldn't do nothing. Anyway, so soon after her rule, the relations with the Portuguese became real strained because of her policies. Now, one of her main policies is to, encourage the slaves of Portugal to come over to her land for protection, which, messed up the economy of the Portuguese. So they declared war on Queen Nzinga on March 15, 1626. She wasn't ready for it. They invaded. She was forced to retreat with her troops. So they retreated to the islands of Kwanzaa. I think I said that right. Anyway, after the battle, she was defeated, and she was forced to abandon her followers. Now, this benefited her because the Portuguese were more after the recapturing slaves. That was more important to them than following her army. So she got she got away, and the Portuguese put a puppet king in place, the Ngola Hari, or what his name is. So soon after that, Queen Nzinga came back, and she challenged him to combat with her armies. So what this guy did was, instead of meeting her in battle like a warrior should, he resorted to his Portuguese allies for help, you know what I mean? And that made his reputation go down because, in their culture, you have to, if you're the king, you have to be a warrior, you know what I'm saying? You got to be standing out there instead of running to your Portuguese allies, which he did. So his reputation went down, you know what I'm saying? Hers went up. However, she was not prepared to go against the Portuguese army. So she suffered, she was forced to retreat again. She suffered several other defeats. And one of these defeats was an ambush that resulted in the loss of half her army, her officials, and they captured her sisters. By 1628, she was down to about 200 troops and was expelled from the kingdom. Even though expelled, she still fought the Portuguese tooth and nail by being expelled. To increase her numbers, she sought help from a warlord named Kasandi. Now, in order for Kasandi to lend his support, he told her, hey, number one, you're going to have to be my wife. Number two, you're going to have to get rid of your lunga. Now, lunga was this big bell that like the war captains wore to, show their power. So she agreed, and eventually her forces came back up, so they was able to perform like guerrilla attacks on the Portuguese and their other enemies like that. So between 1631 and 1635, she had enough strength to go invade Matambe. So she went there, invaded Matambe, and she was actually victorious. She ended up capturing and deposing the queen. Her name was Mwango Matambe, and took her daughters in to be her bodyguard. Soon after everything was all situated, she sat on the throne, and she began to start the campaign to retake her homeland. In 1644, Nzinga finally defeated the Portuguese at the Battle of Ngolame, but was in turn defeated again in 1646. After receiving reinforcements from the Dutch, she was able to rout the Portuguese in 1647. Then she moved to their capital, where she continued to lay siege. Portuguese eventually pushed her back and cut off all her Dutch allies, and she was forced to retreat even further back to Matamba. So her main effort when she went back to Matamba was to simply keep the Portuguese from pushing in. So, she kept the fighting off. So The fighting lasted for about 25 years. And after 25 years, both sides was exhausted. So, you know what I'm saying? In 1651, they both brokered for peace. And, you know, everything was peaceful with the Portuguese. Now, Queen Nzinga kept the fight going with, you know, the surrounding enemies like that so she can eventually unite the land so her sister can inherit it. Unfortunately, on December 17, 1663, Nzinga passed away. Now, Queen Nzinga was knocked down several times, but she keep on fighting to the end. The queen was indeed a Melanin warrior. I hope you guys enjoyed Queen Nzinga episode 2, Melanin Warriors podcast. This your boy Casey Fowler, one half of the foul language. And remember, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And I'm out.